Hello everyone, my name is Samir and today we're going to be dealing with load balancers. So as you can see right here, we have a diagram where we have users, we have the application load balancer, we have two instances located inside a target group. Now, what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be creating two EC2 instances, which will both be Linux based. We're going to be installing a web server on each one. We're going to be placing an HTML page on them simply saying hello world from A on the first instance and hello world from B on the second instance. After that, we're going to be creating a application load balancer, and we're going to be creating an application load balancer because we're specifically dealing with HTTP traffic from users. And within the application load balancer, we're going to be creating a target group, which will allow for the load balancer to target the specific instances which are inside that target group. Now, let's get started. So I'm going to go to my AWS console. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to launch an instance. So I'm going to be naming the first instance EC2-A. Now, as I mentioned before, we are going to leave this as Linux based. You can select any key pair that you would like. I'll just go ahead and select this. As I mentioned before, it doesn't matter. You can leave the VPC as default, the subnet as well, auto assign public IP as well. Now, what we're going to be doing is we are going to be creating a new security group. So I'm going to go to network settings and I'm going to select edit. I'm going to scroll down. Let's name our security group LB test. In the security group role, we'll leave this here. We're going to be adding a security group rule, which should be HTTP all. This is enabling the user traffic. Where source type anywhere. As I mentioned before, we're going to be installing a web server and we're going to be placing an HTML page as well. So what we're going to go ahead is you're going to go down, scroll all the way down. You're going to select advanced details. After doing so, again, scroll all the way down and you should see this user data over here. So I'm going to leave this HTML page down in the comments, in the details. You can get it from there. Other than that, I'm going to go ahead and copy the HTML page. We're going to paste it, and you're going to have to make sure that there are no spaces before. Otherwise, you're going to receive an error later on. As I mentioned before, this is the first instance, so I'm going to be naming this hello world from, let's say, A, and we're going to go ahead and launch this instance. It should take a few seconds. Voila, successfully initiated launch of instance. You can go back to your instances right through here. and you should see the instance that we just created. Right there, EC2A, the instance state is pending, but while we're making the second instance, this should be fully done. Let's go ahead and launch instance again. We're going to be creating our second instance. I'm going to be naming the second instance EC2-B. As I mentioned before, again, this is going to be stay Linux based. In the instance type, we'll leave it as T2.micro, which is free tier eligible as well. Everything is default. Again, the network settings, we're going to select existing security group, and we're going to select the same security that we just made, which we named LB test right there. We're going to select LB test. Again, we're going to go into advanced details, and I should still have it copied, so I'm going to come here and paste the same HTML page. Voila. Hello world. From this time, we're going to add B. There we go. We're going to go ahead and launch our second instance. Oh, I forgot to add the key pair. As I mentioned before, you can add any key pair of your choice. So we're just going to select that key pair. We're going to launch this instance as well. Successfully initiated launch of instance. We're going to go back to our instances, and as I mentioned before, as you can see, the first instance that we made, EC2A, is up and running. And in the meantime, while this instance is pending, let's go ahead and start creating our load balancer. We're going to scroll down. We're going to select load balancers. So we're going to go ahead and select create load balancer. As I mentioned before, we're going to be dealing with an application load balancer today because we are dealing with HTTP traffic. We're going to go ahead and select create. We'll go ahead and name our load balancer load test, just for the sake of the video. We're going to go ahead and scroll down. The VPC will leave as default. Now, one very important thing I will mention, otherwise you will face multiple issues, is that while creating the EC2 instances, I used the same availability zone for both instances. And you can also go ahead and choose two availability zones for both instances if you would like. For example, you can choose availability zone US East 1B in your first instance, and you can choose US East 1C in your other instance. But once you're trying to make the application load balancer, make sure that in mappings you select both of the area zones which you used for the instances. Otherwise, you will face multiple issues later on. In security group, I'll go ahead and remove the default security group. We're going to be linking the security group that we made, which is LB test. Now we're going to port 80 is where our traffic will be coming from. Now, as you can see right here, select a target group. Now, as I mentioned before, we need to make a target group to specify within which two EC2 instances we want our traffic balanced, or in other words, distributed. So I'm going to go ahead and create target group, it will redirect you to here. Now in basic configuration, you're going to leave as choose a target type. We're going to leave it as instances. Once we scroll down, we can choose our target group name. We'll go ahead and choose target hyphen test for the sake of the video. I'm going to leave the VPC as default. We're going to select next. Now, over here, it says to register our targets, and as you can see, both of the instances that we made, EC2A and EC2B, are up and running. So we're going to select both, and please make sure that once you select both over here, you need to make sure you choose include as pending below. Otherwise, you'll end up creating a target group with no EC2 instances involved. And as you can see over here, I created both of the instances in the same area zone, as I mentioned before. Now we're going to scroll down. It'll say right here, review targets. You'll see both of your instances. We're going to click create target group. And it should take a few seconds to load. Right there, successfully created target group target test. We're going to go ahead and go back to our load balancer. We're going to refresh this right here. Once we've done so, we should see our new target group target test right here. Once we select our target group, we should be good to go. We're going to scroll all the way down and we are finally going to create our load balancer. Well, successfully created load balancer load test. Note it may take a few minutes for your load balancer to be fully set up and ready to route traffic. Targets will also take a few minutes to complete the registration process and pass initial health checks. So if we go to view load balancer, we will have the DNS name available. But as you can see, the state is currently provisioning. So I'm going to pause the video and I will be back once this load balancer is up and running. Welcome back everyone. As you can see, the status of our load balancer is finally active. So I'm going to be going ahead and I'm going to be copying the DNS address. I'm going to open it within another tab and here you go. Hello world from B. Look at the IP address. Now, I'm going to be refreshing the page, and as you can see, I'll refresh it again. We should see hello world from A. Well, I'll refresh it again. There we go. Hello world from A. Look at the IP address. It's different. Let's refresh it again. We should see hello world from B. There we go. Just one more time, we'll refresh it again. We should see hello world from A. And as you can see, the HTTP traffic is being distributed amongst both EC2 instances. Now, this was the completion of the lab. Thank you for joining me, and I hope everyone understood as to how we create a load balancer and how the traffic is distributed amongst the instances. And I hope overall you understood the structure of an application load balancer. Till the next one.